G'day everyone, today we are looking at the SDS Models 2020 release of the South Australian 800 class locomotive. Before we get into a brief history of the locomotive, what's in the box, what the model looks like, sounds like, and how it runs, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification button as well so you'll keep up to date with everything that I'm releasing, well, in the coming future that should be nice and frequent. Anyway, let's get on to some history. The 800 were a class of Bobo, broad gauge, diesel locomotives built by English Electric in Rockley, Brisbane for the South Australian Railways in 1956 and 1957. Entering service from mid-1956 onwards, these 10 English Electric 750 horsepower shunting locomotives were numbered from 800 to 809. Although built for shunting duties in Adelaide, they also operated trip workings between Dry Creek and Mile End, pickup trains around Port Adelaide and passenger services, and were predominantly found working around Port Adelaide and in particular Gilman Yard. Later, from time to time, they could also be found working passenger trains around the suburbs. In March 1978, all were included in the transfer from South Australian Railways to Australian National. In 1986, the class leader, 800, was renumbered to 810 because of a new computer system that required the class leader to be, well, renumbered. They were all withdrawn and scrapped in the early 90s, although one has been preserved at the National Railway Museum in Port Adelaide. Model features. Highly detailed, ready-to-run HO gauge model, precisely tooled plastic body, ABS. Genuine KD scale head whisker couplers. Separately applied handrails and detail parts. 5-pole skew-wound electric motor and dual flywheel. All-wheel drive and electrical pickup. LED headlights and marker lights. All models come standard with an MTC 21-pin motherboard, ESU Loc sound, and exclusive sound by DCC Sound. So let's have a listen to some of the sound features available in these models. Now, these bad boys, I picked up my 800 series Locomotive in DCC and sound equipped, which will run you about $415 from, well, your local hobby store, or if you're DC, about $295. Now, there is something I really like about this box. It comes well packaged, it comes in a blister pack and everything else, which is about a standard for how you would expect a model to arrive in 2020, or in this case 2021. What I really like is what's on the inside of the box, which for us DCC users is all the commands and control, well, functions and numbers that you use, whether you use Digitrax or NCE or something else altogether. Personally, I use Digitrax. No real reason why I use it, except that that's what my Model Railway Club uses, so I just bought the same thing. Anyway, I think that's super, super handy. So my one criticism, or I guess critique or standout flaw with this model is where the green meets the yellow paintwork. There's a little bit of bleed in between the two. Now, for me, that's not a huge issue because I will eventually end up weathering the model. And I also can't imagine that towards the end of the 800 series Locomotive, their life, that their paintwork was probably very well looked after. But nonetheless, if you are one of those people who don't want to weather your locomotives, I did notice in the AN liveried locos that there is a bit of bleed, the paintwork isn't spot on, but doesn't bother me. So I guess all in all, I really like this model. I don't know if I'll buy another one. It doesn't really fit in with what I've got. My era is kind of more Victorian. Although I do have a soft spot for South Australian railways, and I do love visiting South Australia to check out their railways because they're a little bit more interesting than ours. But I think for me, I am fine with just one loco. I love it. I like the way it sounds. I like the way it runs. I think it's great. I think it's a nice little novelty loco for my collection, and it does look good running with South Australian rolling stock. And I do like the way the I guess mustard pot ones look as well. But for me, I'm just going to stick with one. So if you bought one, I'd love to hear your feedback, what you think of it, how it runs, how it's handling, whether you bought a DC one or a DCC one. Let us know in the comments below. And if you do have any feedback about my videos, also, please let me know. Now you can follow me on, not just on YouTube, you can also follow me on Instagram, on Facebook. I have a website. The website also has merchandise if you want to check that out. So I'll also leave links below for SDS Models, some more information and where you can pick these up. I picked mine up at Train World in Brighton, so you can certainly, well, I suggest shopping at your local hobby store. That's a pretty good idea, I reckon. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video coming very soon. Hooroo!